All right, have and have not fans. To be completely honest, I was going to wait to do an episode review later today. I was going to rewatch the episode, but I felt semi bad. You know, the quick little video I did about the stare down from the episode Power Struggle, or was it? No, Three's a Crowd. Um, yeah, that was just a quick filler video because I thought it was funny. I was actually talking with one of the cast members and we were discussing things about dramatic pauses and stare downs between characters. And I brought up that scene, so I thought about the Puffy and Elijah thing and from the four, and that's how that video was, posted. So I figured, you know what? This episode was so good that, I did the live stream because I thought the live stream would suffice until I did my review. But honestly, I cannot sleep. It is 3:10 a.m. and the episode is on my mind. So first of all, thank you so much to everyone who joined in the fun on Twitter last night while I was live tweeting. Oh, sorry, my voice broke up. Live tweeting during the episode. And if you haven't already, go down to the description box below. Links to all my social media are down there. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, I definitely recommend it because next week during the finale, mid-season finale, I'll be live tweeting again. And follow me on Instagram. We are at like 17.2 thousand followers, so let's try to hit 20,000 by the end of the month if possible. But for this episode, Boom Boom Bang, this is season 7, episode 9. Guys, this was easily, and I know some people in the live stream said I was overselling it, but this episode was easily the best of the season so far. And like I said in my trailer breakdown for Boom Boom Bang, Tyler Perry, and I don't know why he does this, but it's always the episode before the finale when things get really good. So will next week be better than this week? I don't know. But in any case, this week was really good. I'm giving this episode a 8.5 out of 10. Yes, 8.5 out of 10. Now, before going any further, the goal for this episode review, let's try to go for 125 likes. I think that's a feasible goal. So if you're watching, hit the thumbs up button. Also subscribe if you are new. And with that being said, let's jump into it because there is a lot to talk about. And I have a lot of discussion videos I'll be doing later through the week. We pretty much start off at the bank again. Benny's happy and he wants $100,000 in cash. He tells Candace not to worry about Jim. Candace might be going to LA or New York, but too much has happened in Savannah. She's ready to split town. Benny mentions getting a new tow truck and then from there starting up the tow company again and hopefully getting Hannah and leaving town as well. And Candace is like, she isn't going to leave. Like, hell no, we getting out of here. There's too much going on. So first of all, even though I'm not happy about the money thing, the fact that Benny finally mentioned getting a job again and going back to work made me happy, even though it's off money that he doesn't actually deserve. And the biggest question out of this scene was, what the hell is he going to do with $100,000 in cash? Does that mean he's going to hire someone to take care of Jim, given the fact that he told Candace not to worry? I mean, that could be interpreted multiple ways. We know that Benny's been talking out of his ass for the past several episodes, trying to act like a street thug or gangster, and he's not. I mean, obviously being stabbed and kidnapped by Jim, his track record isn't the best. So at this point, I think he probably has figured out that he needs to do something in order to get Jim off his back. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. Or the $100,000. At first I was thinking, wait, is he going to give $100,000 to Hannah? But I'm like, no, there's no need for that because one, Hannah wouldn't accept it, and two, Hannah's in charge of the Crier estate, so it doesn't matter. Or aside from Hannah and using it to, put a hit on Jim, what if he gives that money to Mitch? I could see Benny doing that potentially because Mitch has done more than enough favors for Benny. So there's that aspect of it. But moving on to the next scene, we get David and Jim talking at the hospital, pretty much picking up where we left off last week about the situation involving George trying to get, David trying to get immunity with George for all these situations that Veronica has been in, trying to pin the murder of Jennifer Salison on Veronica. Jim is quick to call him out for that not being a great idea because George isn't trustworthy. This will make things even more difficult for Jim to take out Veronica. So they're pretty much, just trying to place their bets. And it's all about the fact that David doesn't want to know what Jim plans to do, just to put it bluntly. And he tells David to take the lawsuit, you know, basically the paperwork that Veronica served him about Selene, and to put in the shredder. And it's interesting how David was looking the documents over. So I'm not saying that he wouldn't throw the paperwork away, but he might be exploring all the paperwork and the documentation, because this is Veronica we're talking about. So there's no telling what she put in there. But if Veronica's killed off, then it really doesn't matter. So he also asked David to see about Wyatt. And there was one interesting line of dialogue when he was talking about, you know, that's my son. And, you know, yeah, can you believe my own son tried to kill me, his own father? And he's like, well, maybe he needs a new one. And I'm like, what was that supposed to mean, David? So I really don't know what he meant by that line. But like I said, I really need to go back and rewatch the episode. It was that good. And there were so many moments of like double talk when a character said one thing, but it could be interpreted as another, or foreshadowing, or reaching back to like another season. And also Jim brought up the situation with Kyle, and David said that he hasn't called, you know, well, yeah, I think they're talking about Kyle and the fact that Kyle hasn't called Jim yet, but in the preview for next week, they'll have a conversation. So I'm just sitting there the whole time like, damn, Jim, it's like you're giving David all these, you know, requests like he's your freaking maid or a genie. It's like, hey, can you do this, and this for me? And if I were David, it's like, yo, Jim, I get it, but let's just work on Veronica first. There's like 50 other things we need to get done. And didn't he say something about, well, yeah, if we get Veronica, that means Catherine will get out of jail. And then Jim was like, yeah, one bitch at a time, David. So this dude. Okay. So we go to commercial break. And let me just say that this episode had pretty good pacing for the most part. I think it was a pretty solid episode that kept things moving along, just because this was definitely setting things up for what's to happen next week, but also getting things done as well. So then we have George going over to Veronica's house. And this is the one thing I was mad about. Like, as soon as George told David, come by my office tomorrow, I'm like, shit, there's no telling what's going to happen between the present time and then tomorrow when David's supposed to come over. Something might happen to David or something along those lines. Veronica might pull a stunt. So for George to go to Veronica to tell him about, well, tell her about the potential arrangement that he has with David about giving her up for the murder of Jennifer Salison. And then it's like Veronica was quick to mention the fried chicken, and he was like, well, I'm sorry I said that. And it's like, well, George, you don't have to be sorry. Veronica's the one that made the racial slurs first, saying, you know, when you're around, I smell fried rice and shrimp and fried rice. And it's like, you know, that's a bit racist. I'm not that kind of person. I would never make comments like that. Like, I would never say, looking at you makes me want some watermelon and fried chicken. So, yeah, George shouldn't have apologized for that. So, basically, he's trying to get Veronica to admit that she was present at Jennifer's murder. And he doesn't even believe that Veronica was the one that killed Jennifer, because Veronica was like, no, you can obviously tell that they're trying to set me up to let Catherine loose. So, put it this way. George is skeptical, but at the same time, it's like, okay, Veronica, if you don't want to play ball, then guess what? If you don't want to play on my team, then I'm going to side on the other team. That's why, you know, he's pretty much going to take David at the evidence and go from there in order to bring Veronica down. So then we have Veronica calling David, and there's just so much going on. Pretty much, you know, calls him out for talking with George. But keep in mind that, if anything, Veronica should be giving props to David for keeping his word. Because remember, when she came over to the house with that megaphone and Mr. Jim, the worst episode of the series, if not one of the worst episodes, you know, he came out with the file folder saying that he would, you know, do this and that. Even called George in front of Veronica, and she thought he was bluffing, but turns out that he wasn't. So from there, she makes another, you know, not a nod to Jeffrey not being his son, saying, maybe you should get a DNA test. Remember, she said William was the father. William is someone that David worked with at the courthouse, and that was mentioned last season in the episode A New Leaf. Ironically enough, I gave that episode a 10 out of 10. One of the best episodes of the series. Hell, didn't David say, you murderer? It's like, yeah, that whore Erica. And I'm like, damn, Erica's name drop. We haven't heard Erica's name in quite a while on the show. And they basically go back and forth with each other, and that's about it. And, you know, David says that he'll take care of, you know, Veronica. Veronica doesn't buy it. and, you know, basically calling him out, being a little bitch and everything. So she doesn't expect anything in terms of Jim. All she knows that David can't handle her by himself, but he has a plan as always. So after hanging up on him, she ends up calling for potential candidates to come over. And I was actually incorrect, because Laura, who we'll get to later in the episode review, I thought Veronica was calling the, you know, the foundation or whatever that helps young women, you know, she'll like be their sponsor or a big sister or a parental figure, whatever you want to call it. Because in last season, or was it season 5, Becky with the bad hair came by named Karen, and pretty much Veronica pulled on her what she pulled with all these women tonight about, you know, I wanted a black girl, not, you know, a white one. And this was supposed to be the next girl to be the new Melissa. However, it turns out that Veronica was looking for applicants to be the new maid, because remember, Alice quit and was going to sue Veronica, but she hasn't appeared again yet. So I don't know, maybe we'll see her next season or something. But as soon as George left, that's when Veronica was like, you know, what did she say? I apologize. My notes are a bit all over the place right now. Oh yeah, they're coming for you, Veronica. Think. So after the phone call, we get Marty, Hannah, and Catherine. Pretty much the exchange of power to make Hannah the executor power of attorney. And unfortunately, Marty wasn't able to get bail just yet, because all the contacts, the judges that Catherine had him call, none of them would touch this case. And then Hannah goes on to say something, and this was one of my favorite moments of the episode, because it's a humbling moment. Because when you have the money and whatnot, you know, everybody's your ally, your friend. You can do as many favors for them, but as soon as you're in a time of need, nobody's going to have your back. And me and Chandler had a good discussion about this a few hours ago, because of the fact that, you know, yeah, I'm sure Catherine did plenty of favors and whatnot for people, but the thing about it is, you know, and Chandler brought up a good point. It's like, well, remember when those priests that, you know, touched Wyatt at that camp, they disappeared? What if at some point, you know, one or more of those judges were responsible for helping Catherine clean that up, or some along those lines? And I'm like, well, that may be true, but even if it is, you know, an eye for an eye, like Catherine had those priests killed, and, you know, Catherine killed Jennifer Salison, that there's a big difference between killing like a priest at a Bible camp compared to a district attorney. So any judge that would, you know, try to help out Catherine, that could actually expose some of their own dirty dealings. Like, hey man, interesting, you know, we have a dead district attorney that had Cryer victim on her body, so why in the world are you trying to help out Catherine Cryer in this situation? So it's almost like a guilt by association. So they're turning their backs on Catherine, so she's literally on her own. And to be completely honest, unless, you know, George and David get together and George decides to take up David on his offer, I don't think Catherine's getting out of jail anytime soon. And we get another moment where Hannah suggests that, you know, Wyatt's being sincere, and the fact that maybe they can move him to a prison or a jail that has a facility that can actually help him kick his addiction. And then, you know, Catherine, you know, let me put it this way. Bless her heart, I get Hannah's trying to help and whatnot, but I think that Catherine knows her children a bit better than Hannah does. Not to mention, as soon as, you know, Catherine tries to say something about Hannah's kids, you know, Hannah's quick to kind of, you know, stop her. But it's like, you know, Hannah, come on now. You really need to check yourself first, because your own kids are out of control. You can't even control them. So don't try to tell someone else how to, you know, be parental figures to their own children. I mean, yeah, Catherine and Jim have both admitted to their shortcomings on more than one occasion. But at the same time, it's just like, you know, they're grown. Wyatt, Benny, Candace. Well, specifically, let's talk about Jeffrey, Wyatt, and Benny. Despite their mental capacities and how they act, they are adults. So what they do is what they do, you know. But obviously, with Wyatt's addiction, Benny's mental capacity after coming off life support not being 100%, and Jeffrey, well, for the most part, being a wimp, they make their own decisions. So there you go. And, you know, Hannah says, hey, I got your back no matter what. And after that, let's see. Like Jim and David, Catherine gave Hannah a list of things that she would like to have done. Like, can you go by the house and make sure the plants are watered and the blood stains are gone, because when I get back, I don't want to see it. And that's really a nice nod to like season 2. Remember after Amanda's death, Hannah had those cleaners come in to clean up the blood in all the room because Jim went off on them. But Hannah was like, look, I saw the room and I didn't want you or Miss Cryer to see it. So that was to me, that was a nice nod to continuity there. Unfortunately, at the end of the episode, we know that Catherine's going to see blood anyway. So, ugh. All right. So after that, she's also say, hey, when you go by the house, John and Don, my accountants, will be by. Make sure you see them, but also make sure they don't move any money without my permission. Just bear with me real quick. There was a lot of stuff she said to do. Yeah, that was it. The plants, the blood, and check with the accountants. And later in the hospital, we get Akil going by there to see Jim, and he pretty much lets him know the update on the Benny situation and the fact that the Malone stopped by. And here's the part that, you know, I understand Jim being upset. He has every right to be, but it's like, dude, Akil is one dude. And you have the Malones telling him what to do. And it's like, Jim, you even bow down to the power of the Malone family. So what do you expect this one guy to do? Like, for real. Because really, he was actually going to have Benny abducted again. But, you know, nah, that wasn't going to happen because of Malone. So he tells him to get the hell out. But we see Akil in the preview next week. So, you know, that'll be in the trailer breakdown. Jim calls Lloyd, asks about the money and, you know, the $8 transfer. And then he hangs up on Lloyd. He's like, well, what do you want me to do? And then he hangs up on him. Then Candace comes in. They have a great exchange. This brought it back to the early days of the haves and the have-nots, when it was really about Candace versus Jim. And it's all about threatening Candace and her family if the money doesn't give back to where it belongs. And yeah, Jim is like, is my son's inheritance. And I'm just like, thank you. Thank you. So, because everybody's like, well, it's not Jim's money. No, he's well aware that it's not his money. It's not Catherine's money. It is by the will of Catherine's father, Wyatt's money. However, being that Wyatt has an addiction problem, his parents are the rightful guardians of the money until such a time when Wyatt is capable of handling the money himself. So when Jim says it's my money, he is not incorrect. So guys, get off that. Sheesh. All right. So after that, Mitch comes in because, you know, she brings up the fact of the Malones having friends in high places. So basically, and I like this exchange between Mitch and Jim as well. And if you follow me on Twitter, then you know I'm like, Mitch is playing his cards, man. Go back to the video I posted last week about what is Jim supposed to do with $8.35. I go into detail about how Jim is going to reach the Malone family. He's going to either contact Uncle Vinny, Mama Rose. There's no way in hell he's going to let $8 million go. That's not going to happen. So what got me was the fact that Mitch was going to lie about being in a crossfire to save Benny if Jim goes after Candace or the family again. And it's like, I didn't hate the scene. No, it's just a setup. I feel like Mitch is... He keeps saying, you know, Candace is very special to us. I'm like, no, she's not. She's special to you. Sandy Malone finds her attractive, but that's about it. Like, they don't give a damn. And even Jim is like, you know, what? Your family doesn't like black people. Like, how is she special to you? And it's like the whole Warlock thing. We owe her a favor. And I'm like, I don't know how the Malone's favors work, but a favor to me is singular, not favors. Because initially when Vinny gave the $20,000 to Wyatt for the tow truck, I thought that was the favor being used. Then we fast forward to the Malone saving Benny from Jim or Akil. And I'm like, well, wasn't that the favor? So now you're saying there's another favor? I feel like if Jim reaches out to Mama Rose, she might not like all this stuff going on behind her back. There's a lot of stuff that goes on without Mama Rose, you know, knowing about it. So I feel like if Mama Rose finds out that these favors have been used, it might come a time where Benny and or Candace will have to owe the Malone's money. I feel like that shit's going to happen. So Mitch can, you know, try to abuse the love that just because your grandma loves you doesn't mean if you cross her, you're going to be immune from punishment. So that's all I got to say. This doesn't make me like Mitch any less. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that Mitch had better watch his back. So then we go over to George and Conley. This exchange here, I farted in your chair. need I say more? Basically, you know, Jeffrey Owens, man, shoot. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually put George and Conley. I meant Kyle and Conley. My bad. Kyle and Conley. They have their exchange, and Kyle's pretty much, you know, using the rumors about Conley's, you know, alcoholism against him. It's like, you're sure you don't want to drink? I heard, you know, you're not shy of using the bottle. So pretty much, you know, he lets Kyle up front know that this isn't over. You went after my guy, going through him with Candice Young because of a personal vendetta. And then he pretty much is like, you know what, this isn't going to be forgotten. So you better prepare yourself, because we'll do a Justice Department investigation. And it was a really nice scene. I just love how Kyle was like, he literally embodied the slick back hair, the greasy smile, and the, you know, the suit of a sleazy car salesman. And he really sold it in this scene, and I like that. So Jeffrey Owens, I farted in your chair. I don't know why. And then Kyle's reaction to that, it was so stupid, but it was hilarious at the same time. I don't know why, but I just enjoyed it. Then we go. Let me say the Veronica scene for last. Oh, God. So Justin shows up in his rinky-dink truck. Leo lets him. Well, Leo is at the door guarding, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad that he's back on the show. But does David have more than one guy watching the house? I mean, how long is Leo's shift? Does he have a rotating staff or what? I mean, I would at least have 3 guys watching the plays from all sides at all times, because who knows what Veronica will try next. So you got Justin coming over to the house. Leo tells Jeffrey there's a Justin. Jeffrey's like, tell him I'm not here. But he's like, no, lets him in. Jeffrey pulls I can't take it anymore. I'm leaving. Honestly, I'm like, I know he's probably not sincere, but at this point, he literally is at the end of his rope. So it makes sense for him to split town. So then he tries once again to pull the whole, your mom, she's doing this to me. And it's like, are you in on this too? And then basically trying to throw it all in Jeffrey's face again. And then Jeffrey ain't having it. So he's like, oh, so you're with him now. With Madison, it's, oh, why are you dressed up all nice? Like, Justin, get your ass out of here. I'm done with you. Because I thought, because he kept saying, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to leave, and this is it. I thought he was going to pull out a gun and shoot himself or something. That's where I thought this was going. But basically, based off Justin's reaction, it seemed to me like he's probably going to show up in the next episode and kill or attempt to kill Madison and or Jeffrey. Because next episode is called Bananas Foster. I've already said this like in 5 videos. Bananas Foster is a dessert. In the episode next week, we see that Madison and Justin are on their date. And Justin's probably going to show up and try to do something. Hopefully not poison the Bananas Foster. But in any case, yeah. Didn't Jeffrey say, what are you up to, you son of a bitch? So Jeffrey knows something's up. We get another lore scene. Okay, I'm going to get to the lore stuff, guys. I want to say that for last. And then we go back to the jail. Wyatt's singing the same old song. Catherine isn't trying to hear that, and she's like, come on, you're not going to do anything, Wyatt. Just sit down, shut up, and leave me alone. So he takes the toothbrush out, and apparently there's a razor on the inside. That's a shank. I don't know how jail culture is. Somebody was telling me like there are no razors in the toothbrush, but you get a razor and toothbrush or something in jail, and you can make a shank. So it seems like, you know, Wyatt's purposely going to do this in order to get out of here. It reminds me of that episode of If Loving You Was Wrong with chest pains, when Kelly said she was having chest pains in order to get out of jail to go to a regular hospital. So I don't know if Wyatt is going to actually kill himself or put himself into such a condition that he has no choice but to be taken out of the jail and possibly in the hospital where Jim is. I don't know. So that's the cliffhanger, but we're getting to the best part of the episode. Veronica sitting on her throne while there's a line of court jesters coming in for her to approve of. And yeah, this is where we learn that she's looking for a new maid, and she's looking for someone who happens to look a bit like her in terms of size, height, and all that good stuff. Laura, okay, I'm probably going to have to do a separate video all about the insults that Veronica was giving these women. And then the white woman who was like the, you know, the announcer, if you will, and now coming on stage to the interview. Basically, the biggest takeaway from the insults and the racism was the fact that you had this dark-skinned maid come up, and she was like, you look like my mother, get out of here. And I'm like, so is that a sign that Veronica's mother is dark-skinned, which could mean that Jeffrey's complexion comes from his grandmother? I'm just saying, you never know. So Mm-hmm. And then Laura comes in late, but she pretty much looks at Veronica and they look at each other. I think she asks a question about, her. It's like, oh, she's about my size and everything. Okay, you're hired. And it's like, really? And then all the other people go. And then we go back to another scene where Laura has a bunch of the clothes that she's given to the Goodwill. And she's like, some of these clothes have the price tags on them. And basically, Veronica gives her the clothes and, gives her the shoes. And it's like, oh, you're size 6. And it's like, oh, these are size 9. They're size 6. Okay. And it's like, yeah, well, do you have a car? No. And it's like, you know how to drive? Yeah, well, you can carry my car to the car wash and all. And Laura's like eating this up. It's like, I was really like, okay, this is definitely Dorothy and the Wicked Witch of the West right here. But I might watch The Wizard of Oz this week just because of this scene. It got me thinking about it, specific shoes and a cackling woman trying to it's just crazy. So yeah, it definitely seems like Laura's in Oz, from working in a beautiful home to getting all these free clothes and whatnot. It's just that, yeah, Veronica is setting this chick up for a fall. I don't know, at first I was thinking, oh, what if she tries to make Laura look like her in order to take the fall for Jennifer Salison, but that doesn't make sense whatsoever. But also, the biggest theory amongst the viewers is, remember, as Quita said, the hood coming to get you. Veronica's probably going to have Laura looking like her, driving around town in her car to probably run errands and go to the car wash. So if the hood is really after her, they might target Laura instead. And while that does sound like a feasible plan, it doesn't really make sense because of the hood taking her out. Because remember, Veronica isn't a nobody. She is a socialite. She is a have. She runs a freaking rehabilitation facility. So if the hood takes out Veronica, aka Laura, and they think that they've got the job done, how the hell would Veronica split town? Will she change her look completely, get a new identity? It wouldn't make sense at all. I mean, unless she has all the numbers on, hey, this and that person killed my maid, and then like the people responsible for the assassination are put behind bars so Veronica gets her victory. But unless that happens, having those hoodlums kill Laura wouldn't make sense. But like I said, I'll do an entire video on that. But then you also think about it this way. You got a kill being set up by Jim to take out Veronica, and not a car explosion, but something bigger, spectacular, exceptional. So maybe Laura will accidentally get killed. Maybe Laura will accidentally get killed from the assassination attempt on Jim's end. So Veronica doesn't know that Jim is after her. So basically, she only knows of the hood. She knows the hood is plotting against her. And then she knows that David and George are coming to get her as well. And then in the next episode, the main dude, I forgot his name, is going to tell Veronica, watch her back. I have no idea why he's doing that. But basically, Laura might be a shield for an assassination attempt Veronica didn't even see coming. So if Laura dies and like the headlines say Veronica Harrington's killed, that might mean the hood backs off. So Laura is the scapegoat, unfortunately enough. So yeah, shit's getting crazy. But with that being said, guys, this was a pretty solid episode. 8.5 out of 10. Boom, boom, bang. As Veronica told David. If you agree with me, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you think of the episode? What was your favorite part? For me, the lack of repetitive dialogue, decent pacing, character interactions, set up for what's to happen next. I'm looking forward to next week. Unfortunately, this is when the show gets really good, right before it goes off for a couple of months on hiatus. But yeah, once again, like I said at the beginning, make sure you subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you to everyone who sent me the trailers, the end credit trailer, the sneak peek, and then the actual trailer for next week. While I very much appreciate the trailers I received, I would prefer, since this is the mid-season finale preview, I want it to be the HD quality. So if they actually upload it to YouTube within the next 24 hours, I'll do a breakdown. I pray to God that they don't do what they did this week and put it up on Monday on YouTube, or they put it up on Sunday. If we don't get the trailer uploaded to YouTube by, let's say, tomorrow night, I'm like, screw it. I'll do the mid-season finale. I mean, yeah, the mid-season finale trailer breakdown based off what I got, because I really like to have the HD quality photos, especially when it's an important episode. But I know the fans want to see it. I want to discuss it. So once again, I'll have the trailer breakdown either up tonight or Thursday. And on top of that, expect a bunch of different discussion videos between now and the next episode, like what will Benny do with $100,000? What does Jim have in store for Veronica? Laura being the scapegoat? Will Justin try to kill Madison and Jeffrey? There's just so much to talk about, and we're going to be here for it. So hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss out any new content. I'm going to save my voice because between the live stream, talk with Chandler, and recording this lengthy video, I need to take a break. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Tell me what you thought of this episode. And I know Sisters comes on tonight. Raquel Bailey, the actress who had the billboard for Tyler Perry, and then she eventually got the role in the show. She's going to be a police officer tonight. So I don't know if I'm watching the episode live, but if it's good, let me know. Hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. And hopefully, if the episode's good, I'll do videos on that. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Boom Boom Bang was awesome. And I'll catch you all next week for Bananas Foster.